Yo, people, welcome back to the YouTube channel. You already know what time it is. It's time for another episode of All You Can Eat Chelsea. I'm joined by the cast and crew. Do you know what I'm saying? Younes, first of all, big up to your damn self. The only person here to have 8 hours sleep. How you feeling?
I feel fantastic. I mean, yeah, managed to sleep, can eat and drink again. I feel alive. I mean, we need it because Chelsea are in an absolute rut at the moment. So we need the energy. We need the energy. So, yeah, no, I'm good. I'm good. Meanwhile, Miz.
my eyes are barely open.
Same.
Chelsea's finished him.
I'm guessing yours is a different reason.
Yeah, I've just been, let's keep it a buck. I've been absolutely wasted for the past 48 hours. I've had like 3 hours of sleep. I can't wait till this is over so I can just go to bed.
It's going to be a special short episode today for Mizzy. So big up to that as well. Listen, I know everybody wants us to talk about Roman seeming to extend our delay on the ownership because he wants his 1.5 billion debt retrieved or whatever. But at this point, I'm getting tired of just talking about dead topics, but well, not even dead topics, but just sad and just draining topics every single week in terms of just the ownership and da-da-da-da. So I thought we know what predicament we're in, regardless of who takes over. I don't think Chelsea are going to go bust. Everybody's talking about Chelsea may go bust. Chelsea will cease to exist again. I mean, we've already heard this before, okay? We've been down this road already. We're still here. Let's talk about instead the players that could potentially help us, because we're talking about a lot of ins and outs, and we spoke about it a little bit off air. A lot of ins and outs, a lot of players we would like to leave the football club. So a lot of players therefore need to come in, but they're not all going to be purchases. So I think whilst we could go through transfer targets who we personally don't know, first of all, how much money we're going to have, what the wage bill is going to look like, Pau Torres, whether he's going to have another howler, things like this. We may as well start with the players that are 100% on our roster, and the players that have been rumored to come back into the fold. So we'll just talk about them and discuss them as individuals, whether they're, underrated, overrated, whether they're ready to help us out, whether they should go back out on loan, should be sold, etc. And you guys can help us in the comments because we do need to structure a squad. And I think now that we all kind of realize, we did speak about it before Roman left. Now it's a certainty. Now that we all realize we're really probably not going to win the Premier League next year, which is not easy for Chelsea fans. Every single year we're like, we're going to do it. We're literally like,
we have someone who thought we could have done it even a few weeks ago, Mr. Younes himself.
Listen, yeah.
Hold on.
I was just trying to be positive, yeah?
Before I even carry on, Younes, are we going to win the Premier League next year?
Oh, here we go. Not this.
I'm going to ask you, and I'm going to text George as well. Ask George Benson and see if he says this.
Oh my God, you're kidding. God. Cancel this guy now.
So now
I'm kidding. Now look, yeah, we're not winning the Premier League next season. Let's be real.
Wow.
We're not.
We're crushing his spirit.
He doesn't believe it. He doesn't even believe it.
He's just saying.
Listen. No. After what we've seen with not just City but Liverpool, you know what's mad? I look at Liverpool in particular, and this is why I think they're going to win the Champions League. I think that even they might do something to pip the league. I'm worried about them in the cup. They're a machine, man. There's no way we come close next season to that. There's just no way, unless if not only do we get wholesale changes, but we have a miracle that happens on top of that.
They need
and Liverpool have 85 injuries and a virus outbreak just confined to Liverpool. Like maybe we might have a chance. But they're a machine. So fair play to them. But we have work to do, and that's what we should aspire to try and be like. But if we're going to be real with the problems we have, to try and change what we want to change, all these issues, to sort it out in over one summer for us to be ready for the new season and to start from there. Nah, it's not going to happen. So we just got to be objective.
This season, if we can crack the 70 points mark, I'll be very impressed, considering that we're trying our best to not do that. And then after that, next season, progress would be, I guess, to aim for 80 points. and that would be now another achievement. But to aim for this 90, whatever the hell is going to be, 91, 93, 95, miss me, bro. Miss me with that shit. So that's not happening. But yeah, like I said, we're going to have to use some of the academy, some of the loanees, the good ones, obviously. And they've been spoken about really by the TL. So this is on topic. It's on trend. It's just not more depressing ownership bullshit, because at this point, I'm not going to lie to you, I've checked out the group chat. It was put in the group chat. It was raised in the protest, and I just said to him, I would honestly be rather dead right now than talk about what you're about to ask. Don't care anymore. I am done. You see what this group chat was about? It was about the protest. That's over now. Anything after that, I am not involved. I don't know what's going on. Mentally checked out, as I said many a time. So let's start with, obviously, we could start with Baxter, but I already know most of us, well, all of us haven't watched Baxter. He's been spoken about Hull City. Goalkeeper's doing really well. Wants to make it at Chelsea. Could be the replacement for Kepa. Although I would probably lean towards a more experienced option as well. And then maybe have him involved as a third. I'm not sure. I don't know how he's been playing. Maybe I'm way out of line for saying that and he's ready to be second choice. But Baxter is somebody who is trying to be in the Chelsea first team next year. But like I said, that's not something I could even begin to focus on. So I'm going to start with Levi Colwill. And it's an interesting topic. It's becoming more interesting by the day, because when we look to restructure our team, the fact that we are losing so many centre-backs allows us the option to potentially play back four next season. When you've lost Christensen, you're losing Rudiger, you're then going to lose potentially Azpilicueta to Barcelona. It allows you to say, do you know what? We're losing so many centre-backs. We may as well play with less centre-backs to, make up for the loss. Now, in that, we're going to have to be better defensively as individuals. So it's no longer so much about a unit. Obviously, a DM will help that, which we'll get onto in a minute. But the partnership is key. The chemistry, the balance, the Terry to the Carvalho, the Ferdinand to the Vidic, making sure that you have everything crossed off the list, so to speak. First of all, Younes, obviously, I think you're going to agree with me in saying that he has to be in the first team squad. But where in the first team squad do you put him right now in terms of depth chart?
I think it would be wise. I've always believed that with youth, it's best to not rush. Again, unless you're in a situation which we were in with the transfer ban, for example, we don't have a choice. So youth players, there you are, you're in the first 11. You can start playing. I don't want to do that for everyone. I wouldn't. I think it's important to bring them through with enough time and enough experience for them to then end up hitting a level at a certain age where they're now at their peak. So I reckon Colwill to get into the first team squad. And then it depends. If we're going to get a Koundé, then, or, we'll see what our centre-back options are. And then it's up to him to prove himself. If he's actually good enough, within the Chelsea setup, and he convinces Tuchel that he is actually one of the best centre-backs we have, play him. Fair enough. If that's what he's deserving of and he's that good, cool. But chances are, at that age, you're not a superstar already.
Yeah.
Take it easy. Bring him on for 20, 25 minutes here and there. Cup games, play him the whole 90. Let him gradually get into the rhythm. Don't just, put everything on one plate immediately at 19 years old for him to consume. It's Chelsea Football Club. This is different gravy. Yeah. I heard him talk, and he said that obviously he feels like he's ready for the Premier League. He said whether that's with Chelsea or whether that's with Huddersfield or whoever. So, I mean, he wants it. I would bring him into the squad and see what happens. Much like the same goes for Gallagher and all these other lads. We need the depth. It's a good scenario for him because we've got centre-backs leaving. It's the perfect opportunity for him to grasp and take it. So it's up to him. But I think he's good enough. Although I'd be patient with him as well. Bring him into the first team squad and then we'll go from there.
Yeah. I think in the ideal world, the Malang Sarr role behind Rudiger would have been perfect. But obviously Rudiger's leaving now.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. There's I'm going to bring in a devil's advocate, even though I agree. There's the notion that is developing that should we spend £100 million on centre-backs when we have so many issues going forward, or should we spend half that or 60 on Koundé and potentially use Levi Colwill as one of the options? Because I'm going to bring up someone else in a minute who's who's just as important to this whole situation. Do you, in any way, shape, or form, see Colwell being like a starter next year, like maybe a Tomori was, even though Tomori at times was rotational also, but you know, that heavily involved?
Do you know what? We can't. Like, we saw Trevor Chaloba's, journey this season as well. He took off, in a storm, and then slowly but surely he saw many different. He met many different experiences through Premier League, and he didn't really at times keep up with that particular expectation. And then before you even knew it, like, Thomas Tuchel has kind of abolished him from the team. I think he should probably get those minutes that Aspie gets, but he's not getting it. And maybe it's part of the development. Maybe it's all part of the whole bigger scheme of things, just making Chalobah understand it's not all rosy in the big league. You gotta earn your stripes. Do you know what I mean? You've not seen hardship yet. Like I know we've gone through hardship, but you as a player haven't seen the immense hardships, the criticism. Like, Chalobah at times is now getting brutalized by our fan base. And I can only wonder what sort of impact this is having on him as a player, because most of these players are all available on social media these days. So, look, I wouldn't just... I rate, as I told you guys a while back, I rate our academy a lot. Okay, I would like to see a lot of our academy players make it to the first team, but I'm not going to just stupidly throw them as a starter, take Rudiger's spot. And that's the other thing. Do we go with the three at the back? If it's three at the back, does Levi Colwell just becomes an automatic Rudiger replacement? That's... Do you know what we're talking about? Rudiger has been killing it. We're asking Levi Colwell to be Rudiger. Like, that's...
Do you know what? We shouldn't be asking him to be Rudiger.
Unrealistic.
We're going to be a worse team. Simple as that.
Exactly. And then, you asking the question in regards to what should we do in terms of budget, where should we spend? I can't see how we don't spend, because you got to have a rock solid defense, Matisse. You can't be having a Levi Colwell, a Thiago Silva another season older. Do you know what I mean? And a Chalobah who's still inexperienced in this level. You can't expect that back three, if it is a back three, to compete with City and Liverpool. And I'm not saying we're going to win the league. I think we've established that we're not going to win the league, but at least stay close. We can't be another 20, 25 points again next season. Do you know what I mean? So if I'm sort of thinking from a Thomas Tuchel point of view, and I don't know how he's thinking, but if I was a coach, I suppose, I would be spending a lot more on defense, making sure I've got experience. And I go back to the ethos of Chelsea being hard to beat again, even though I hate that. Now, when I think about it, which we all celebrate, I love the way Thomas Tuchel was saying, we're hard to beat. But that whole notion of hard to beat it's like
very
we're
Chelsea.
not going to it's like we're not going to go out there and beat you, but you're going to find it hard to beat. It's sort of like a bit negative connotation on it, that you can't beat us, but it doesn't really say we're going to go out there and beat you. Do you know what I mean? I want Thomas Tuchel to come out one day and say, we're going to beat you.
Well, he said, no one's going to want to play us, isn't it?
Yeah, well, that doesn't really mean that we're going to go out there and bore them out either. Do you know what I mean? No one's going to want to play us. We could just park the bus or be very good defensively.
Yeah.
I want the notion next season, hopefully, I don't know what's going to happen in terms of who goes and what not, for us to be a lot more flamboyant, go out there and score goals and whatnot. But I think the focus might again be that we're going to have to revert back to hard to beat. So from that perspective, Levi Colwell for me, boys, will be a squad player, but who's heavily involved in the team.
Yeah.
But not someone that I'm going to say, do you know what? You're going to play 50 plus games and I need you to boss it. Like, I can't expect that from him. So I definitely would invest in the market for some CBs, quality CBs.
If it's a back four, what does our confidence levels go with Thiago Silva an extra year and playing in a back four? Where do you sit with that? Like, Younes, would you be okay with him being a starter? Or would you start off with him and then look to phase somebody in slowly, which is kind of the way I'm thinking? But it's such a weird one, because if you bring in two new centre-backs, that's two new centre-backs potentially to the league. So, they might have, if it's Koundé and someone else from an outside league, which is who we're getting linked with, players from other leagues, if you bring them together, put them ahead of Trevor, ahead of Silva, ahead of Colwell, and that's a new centre-back pairing, the likelihood of that working immediately and not having its moments is quite unlikely, especially if they're young. We're linked to a very young German defender. Obviously, we're not going to get into, you know, the potential players we could sign because we don't know. But for me, we got to be very careful with who we buy as the second centre back. Koundé seems to be just, we've made the assumption that it could be him. It looks like he could be. I'm cool with that to replace Christensen. I like the player. But the second guy, I think there needs to be a level of experience. I know we're linked with quite young defenders, but if you've got Trevor and you've got Colwell and you've got Koundé, that's quite a young defense. And then you've got Silva, who's way on the other spectrum of 37. You could do with having someone who's Rudiger's age, really. Literally. You know, that's why it was becoming such a problem that Rudiger's going, because it kind of is the perfect defender that we need right now in terms of age, in terms of quality, in terms of leadership, in terms of all these things. That's exactly what we need. We don't really need another young defender. If people are worried about Colwell at 19 coming into this Chelsea team, why aren't they worried about a 20-year-old from Germany? I don't understand why they wouldn't be. I know he's rated highly. You know,
no, I'm definitely worried. I'm definitely worried. Like 20 years and 19 years, there's no difference. Like
there isn't. And if anything, at least Levi Colwell is accustomed to English football.
Yeah,
exactly.
You know, and if we're worried about him, then yeah. To be honest, with the centre backs, if this all determines if we're going to a back four or not. Because obviously, if you're not, then we have 3 centre backs. Chances are you're going to fit all of them in. If it's a back four and you just have the 2, you got to make a decision. I would rather, for one season, use what Thiago Silva still has left in the tank, because he's still performing at a level we didn't think he'd perform at. At 37 years old, he's playing like he's 29. It's mad. So I trust him. And that experience is key. He's been there. He's been around the block. He's now been in English football for a little bit. He knows whoever partners him, which I think if Koundé does come, it'd be Koundé. I think that's solid enough for one season.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, you have backups. If we're going to a back four and you have those 2, you have Chalobah and you have Colwell. That's enough. For a back four system, 4 centre backs in your squad, that's enough. That's perfect to rotate with. If there's an injury, one of them comes in. If there isn't, we need to rotate. You've got 2 centre backs to choose, or play both if you want to rest both. Like you can work with that. But I think it's key to use that experience and to use what we have. And at the same time, in the squad, those 2 are learning. Whether it's Chalobah and Colwell, especially. Chalobah's already started that process. Colwell will be beginning that process. And to have someone like Thiago Silva for a whole season to be basically like under his wing, that would be vital. So when the time comes for Thiago Silva to depart, because he's now reached an age where, despite him playing fantastic, it's the end of his career. That's it. Call it a day. Start looking at coaching. We'll start looking at scouting. Go and do what Ross Turnbull's done. I don't know, something. Yeah. Like then he gets to do that, and we get to phase in these centre backs that we've kind of nurtured. You know, Colwell would have picked up a whole year. Chalobah's picked up another year, and that's the process of trying to bring in players that are young, you know, and not to rush them, and to let that process has to come through. So then when they hit a certain age, they have enough experience, they're confident in themselves, they know exactly what to do, and they're still young. So yeah, that's what I would do anyway. I think having a Koundé come in, if he does, with Silva, would be the preferred, the preferred 2, with the others as backups.
Yeah,
and just to quickly add on that as well, what Younes was saying. If there's people in the live chat right now who's probably worried, or how's Thiago Silva going to manage in a back four? That's a lot of games. There's a lot of responsibility for it. All comes down to structure. You have a look at someone like Van Dijk, right? You look at the way Liverpool is set up. It's not like Van Dijk exerts a lot of energy every game. He's just they play in a structure where they play very high up, so they box the opposition in. Their centre backs don't really need to widely move around, and there's not in transition, they're not getting opened up. Do you know what I mean? Like he exerts, they're well protected. And I think that this is what you're going to talk about next, Matisse, is the DM, someone like Fabinho, someone like Rodri.
Exactly.
When you have those pieces and you have a structure where Thiago Silva doesn't need to exert that much energy, and we have a particular style of football that boxes the opposition in, and it's really just that odd transition moments here and there where he may have to, in a robust fashion, needs to recover. As long as it's not a basketball game one end to another end. Well, Thiago Silva ain't going to last for.
It can be like a basketball game for Liverpool at times with Van Dijk, isn't it? Because he's so quick, it doesn't matter, and he's so strong. So I don't know. It's to play a high line. For it not to be a basketball game, we're going to have to keep the ball. But then if we're going to keep the ball more, we're probably going to play less killer passes, we're going to be less likely to try and force those transitions like Liverpool do because we don't have the security at the back. There's so much when you're trying to look after a player that isn't the quickest because you know that he could be exposed defensively with a high line. And Mendy's right now as a sweeper keeper is showing some faults. That in itself is dangerous for the way that you attack because now the attack don't maybe play that killer pass. They play the pass safe, and that stops us from being good going forward. And a lot of people always bring that up when they talk about our team. I was just quickly glancing through the free transfers at centre-back. The only person that stood out was Malanga at Man City, who used to be at Man City, but and Roman Gouli. Roman Gouli's only played 18 games this season in Serie A for AC Milan. I think he is the captain or was the captain. He's 27 years old. Yeah, 27 years old, is left-footed, I believe, as well, plays on the left-hand side. That's the only person I could find in the free transfer market this season that could potentially fill that quota of leader, age, experience, not going to cost anything, that could play on that left-hand side. The second player I'm going to mention is Ethan Ampadu because he is, in terms of numbers, so you don't have to use a Malang Sarr, people are showcasing and putting out there this 5 players, which I all like, which is Ampadu, Koundé, Thiago Silva, Trevor Chalobah, and Levi Colwill as your 5. Ethan Ampadu, for me, as much as I really want to see him used in pre-season, I really think that he could be a big, big player for us in terms of squad depth next season because he can play in the back 3, he can play DM. He's not a player that can play in the back 4. So but I feel like we might have to use a mixture of 3 and 4 next year anyway. But Younes, I'll start with you. What do you make of, because Ethan Ampadu's had a very, very good loan in a very bad team as well. He's probably been their best player this season. The only one that could really put together some consistent performances. He's got a lot of experience now. He's been on the blocks since very young, since Sarri season, really, I think. And he can play a multitude of different positions as well. And he can play them pretty well in the back 3. We saw it at Leipzig, the few cameos he got. And obviously we've seen DM as well. So what do you think about this guy? Is he someone that you're hoping can be involved?
I'll be real. I think with Ampadu, will he be involved? I just got a gut feeling he won't. I think he's just one of those players that it just won't happen. Now, that's not necessarily his fault or Chelsea's fault. I just think options that are there, especially with them, and you're looking to bring in, I don't know. I struggle to see how he breaks through. Although with the defensive midfielder role, because he's versatile, he can play centre back as he's been playing. He can play as a DM, which we know he can do. Hasn't done too often, but we know he can do. He has more of a chance of being able to entertain breaking into the team if he does use that defensive midfielder role rather than a centre-back role, I feel, because we're in dire need of a DM. So if he goes down that route, he might have a chance. But it's a weird one. He's had a very good loan. Yeah, he's had a very, very good loan. But I just don't know with Ethan. The good thing about him is that he's 21. Weirdly enough, with all of this experience he's already had and the loans and whatnot, and him being at Chelsea prior to those loans, after all that, he's still just 21. Works very, very well. But yeah, is there a good player there? Absolutely. I just think maybe it's all a little bit clogged up, especially if we're going to be bringing players in. I don't know. But if he comes in as a defensive midfielder and wants to be a defensive midfielder, then he's definitely he's definitely knocking on the door at that point because we're in dire need of someone to come in and be a proper DM. So yeah, we'll see what happens. Although I think he's just one of those lads that will end up going. That's just how I feel.
Yeah. For me, I think the key to him staying will be Jorginho leaving. If Jorginho leaves, he has to stay because we're not going to sign 2 DMs. We'll be lucky if we get 1 at this point because we've been begging for 1 for so long. And if Jorginho leaves and a new DM comes in, then we have 1 DM again, so we're imbalanced again. And if that's
the thing, will Jorginho go though? I think he'll go eventually. I don't think he'll go this summer. I think
he could. He'll be on a free.
Yeah,
I think he has to go.
I think he could go. I think out of the two players between him and Kante, it's always more likely that the Kante will end up getting a new contract because it's Kante, right? And I think Jorginho, he's someone that I could see more. If you presented the opportunity to go back to Italy, I can see him think, all right, take it. Yeah, take it. I'll take it. It's a good option for me. I'll extend out my career even more. Obviously, Italian national squad as well. I want to be starting. So I'm closer to home for that. I can see him going. If the right price comes in, these Italian clubs rate him so highly as well, as they should. I think he could take the opportunity if given to him. His agent would definitely take it as well. I think if he goes, Ampadu has to stay, because then you just run the risk again of having an imbalanced midfield with 1-6. If the new signing comes in and needs a rest or it gets injured for a period of time, we don't have any DMs. So I think Ampadu then becomes crucial. Well, maybe it's because I want him to be involved, but I do have a little bit of confidence that he might be involved for the sheer fact that he is the only person coming back from loan that plays in the DM role, and it's such a clear issue that we have. And obviously he's versatile enough to play in the back three, and we don't know the situation with the defense as well. And I don't know whether I know they want Koundé. I don't really feel like they really know what they want as the other defender. So Ampadu gives himself a chance there as well. But Miz, what do you make of Ampadu's chances for these slots? Because he's a bit of I know he's young, but he actually does have some leadership qualities to him that could grow. So it's just another box ticked, maybe, even though he's very young, obviously.
To be honest, I didn't even want him to go last season. I thought that fourth midfield option, you know what I mean? Like Saul barely gets any minutes. I thought give those spare minutes to someone like Ethan Ampadu, do you know what I mean? And Ruben Loftus-Cheek as a mixture. But do you know what? I'm glad he went, and he's absolutely killed it for Venezia. And then a multitude of positions, as you said. I would honestly look at this as a proper option now. Like Ethan Ampadu, once again, Matisse, as you said, he's done the blocks. Like he's been to Leipzig. He would have. Who was it back over there at that time? Nagelsmann. So he would have understood.
It was, yeah.
So he would have understood the tactical side of things, what Nagelsmann was trying to do in a back three. He went to Sheffield United, which was also a back three. I think he played as an LCB at times, sometimes in the DM role. Now he's gone to Venezia. Sometimes he does play in the back three. I don't know if they always use back three, but I've seen him at times play in a back three. But predominantly he's played in midfield, and he's done really well in midfield. There's some really good reviews on him from Venezia. If I'm Thomas Tuchel, here's a message. Here's a message to Thomas Tuchel and to each and every one of those Chelsea fans. You're not going to be able to buy if you're thinking whoever the new owner is, Todd Bowley or whoever, you ain't buying 8 new players. I'm telling you right now. We'll be very happy if we can
unless you're Watford.
Unless you're Watford, yeah. We'll be very happy if we get 3 to 4 new players. Because to get 8, 7, 8, 9 the way we are thinking, that's not the way it goes down. Okay, it simply doesn't go down that way. So, Ethan Ampadu is someone, if I'm Thomas Tuchel, I would seriously consider. And as I recall, I think earlier this season in the preseason, there were some videos in the preseason where Ethan Ampadu was actually shadowing with Jorginho in that register role, and they were practicing one-touch passing. And Ethan Ampadu was doing really, really well. He understands the one-touch passing, build up from the back. Positional play, being press resistant and whatnot, all those jazz. So he gets that. So why not utilize him? Some people may say Billy Gilmour. I think Billy Gilmour has not had a great loan like the way Ethan Ampadu has. And to be honest, in life there should be some level of merit that comes into it. Like, do you know what I mean? Like this guy, I think now deserves a shot at Chelsea Football Club. Some of you guys, once again in the live chat, probably laugh. Oh, how are we going to compete with Ethan? No, you add someone like you add someone like Ethan Ampadu, then maybe have a Thiago Silva with Koundé just behind them. You have new fullbacks maybe as the second choice or people that compete with Reece James and Chilwell, and then you create a team that way. You're not going to have superstars everywhere. You got to try and find gems. And I think Ethan Ampadu could be one of those future gems, which I would definitely give a shot.
I've liked the player ever since we signed him from Exeter, to be honest. I really have. I thought he's a good communicator. He wants to show those leadership qualities. He's got 33 caps for Wales now, which is ridiculous at the age of 21. Yeah. This is a Wales team that have done pretty well to reach the Euro semi-finals at one point.
Wales are going to be in the World Cup as well, right?
Yeah.
They're through?
I think they are. Are they through? Wales.
Wales through? No, they've still got a playoff to play. I think that's
still got
happening in June.
Yeah, I think they're
I
still
know
got
that.
a play.
Oh, do they have to play with Ukraine or something, or Russia?
Yeah. Let me see. Wales
Anyway,
have to play. Yeah.
I think they're close to qualifying for the World Cup, so that's massive.
World Cup playoff final. Yeah, they got to play either. Is it Scotland or no? Scotland.
Is it decided already?
Or is it? I don't know.
It says to be decided on mine anyway when I Google it, but they do have a World Cup qualifier and it is the final 5th of June. Doesn't say who they play yet for me.
Oh, it says against Scotland or Ukraine.
Okay, yeah. So
there we are. Chances are, I don't know, probably Scotland with what's going on.
So look, bottom line, he's got the potential to go to World Cup. Like, we got to take this guy seriously, honestly.
Yeah, 100%. It's a player that I've always liked. I think he's got a lot of qualities that we could do with. And like you said, Miz, we can't. People will say, "Oh, how can we compete with Ethan Ampadu?" Well, we don't compete now for a start. So we're not competing with Saul Niguez. So I personally see him as an upgrade on Saul. Do you know what I'm saying? I really do. I think Saul has done so little this season that both Ampadu and Gilmour could definitely give more to this first team squad than Saul. So I've got absolutely no problem with looking at a player like this and using him. He's played a lot of times this season, 26 games. And he has played a variety of different positions as well. That tells me that he's got the intelligence, the footballing intelligence. What do we talk about so much with this team is that they're really limited and they're not even able to do everything in their own position, let alone play other people's position. Yeah. We had SDN that played centre back, he played right back, played box to box midfield, played DM because he was so intelligent. He understood other people's roles. So other people say sometimes it's not good to be versatile because you can't pick a position. But in a team like this, where you play so many games a season and we get so many players, Kovacic picks up an injury basically every season. Kante picks up an injury. We haven't got a DM, outside of Jorginho. Thiago Silva's 37. Ampadu is probably best placed right now on our whole roster. He's probably best placed to play middle centre back, to be honest. Like his aerial success rate this season is actually really strong at 65%. He could actually be the person that is most comfortable in the middle of the defense just because he's played back three so often. I don't know. We'll have to see. But let me know in the comments what you feel about Ethan Ampadu. We'll move on to, I'm going to do these two players together. Before we get to Gilmour, we'll go to the fullbacks, Sterling and Ian Maatsen, right? Because these guys now are like maybe the biggest unknown quantities in terms of whether they can step up to this level because they've both been in the Championship for quite a while now. Loans to Charlton, loans to Blackpool, whatever have you will. They've been on loan multiple times, both of them in the Championship. A few injury concerns for Sterling and Ian Maatsen. I think he was even in League One at one point. But these players, in terms of style, suit our team, in my opinion. I'll start with what I think. They suit our style more than Azpilicueta and Alonso. They can both get forward. They can both get up and down. They're both technical. They can both cross. So even though people in the comments will go absolutely nuts, and I'm not saying we use both of them, but I am saying that it's unlikely that we probably get both fullback positions signed up in this window. People are saying we should wait for Livramento in 2023. He's now got an ACL injury, unfortunately. We probably have to start thinking with Livramento that we actually just need to focus on sorting out our shit now, or at least bringing in players that we want to see what they're like, but they don't cost anything. And then if they're not good enough, then again, you go into the market next summer. Because like Younes said at the start of the show, it's going to take summers. It's not going to take one summer, and maybe take advantage of January as well, like Liverpool did. And as we have before with Gary Cahill, etc., instead of just sleeping in January. Miz, I'll start with you with Ian Maatsen and Sterling, two players that have kind of been more. Sterling's been rumored actually being part of the first team picture with preseason and whatnot, and they were both part of preseason I think last year, but Sterling definitely was. What did you make of Sterling in our preseason last year as well? Do you think he's 22 years old? Do you think he's got the potential to be Reece's understudy in that right back role? And if it's right wing back, an extra thing in his favour is he's played right wing back before when we had Conte in charge in the youth team. He's played right wing back his whole youth development as well for a lot of it anyway.
No, I don't feel the same about Sterling, unfortunately. I do feel very highly about Maatsen though. I'm a massive fan of Maatsen. From the days when Frank Lampard used him, I believe in an FA Cup, he looked electric on the left side. Then I think he didn't have a very good loan season last season, but this season he's killing it again for Coventry. I think at times he even plays as a winger, left-sided winger. He scored a few goals, assisted as well. I hate the word backup, because if you're going to compete against Liverpool and City the way we should, our second choice options in the fullback or wingback position needs to be almost as good as the first options. But if I was to have a backup, I think Martin is a proper solid backup, man, to Ben Chilwell. Ben Chilwell will predominantly play most of the matches, but if there is any sort of hiccups, you can, rest assured Martin will come in and do the job. Honestly, guys, I know there's a lot of names, people talking about the German guy, David Rome. They're talking about, Sosa. Like, I get it. They look great. They're from different leagues, and they're probably maybe, great competition for Ben Chilwell. But I kid you not, Martin, don't sleep on this guy. Like, this guy will push Ben Chilwell. And you need an attitude of a player, like someone like Martin, who has grown up from the academy, thrives to play for Chelsea. You need that level of hunger. I think one of the things that we're seeing right now as we speak in our football club, the reason why a lot of these results have gone sideways is because a lot of the players have checked out. And you'll notice, and once again, like, shoot me if you want to, but I think a lot of the players that we bought have checked out. Lukaku. Yeah, as much as I love Hakim Ziyech, I'm not really sure whether he's in it at the moment. Kai Havertz has been a bit strange in recent times. I'm not saying he checked out, but you look at some of the Chelsea academy players, Reece James, Mason Mount, like, they're still running and carrying. I know that Mace might not be having a great season, but still that hunger is there. So look, I'm not saying do that for every single position, but Martin definitely is a big option.
Yeah.
Sterling, I don't think so. I don't have the same feeling the way I have about Martin. I think that's a position. Reece James, there's big question marks. And, Thomas Tuchel has said in press conference, in the past few press conferences, that one of the issues Reece is facing right now is that playing as a wingback, you exert a lot of energy. And he's picking up these muscle injuries. That's why Thomas Tuchel sometimes plays him as an RCB, because you don't have to be that robust. Yeah. That's a bit of a concern for me, because I want Reece James to play right wing back. But if this brother cannot give us right wing back all the time, well, that's a bit of a concern for me. So for me, I need the new owners to fix that position for me. Look, Reece James for me is still number one right wing back, or right back. But go to the market and get me a good, well scouted. It doesn't have to be the most expensive right back, but give me a well scouted right back. Because for me, Sterling does not show me the attacking impetus, even in the preseason. As solid frame that he has defensively, he looks like a monster. But I think going forward, he doesn't really have that impetus, which is fine. These sort of things take time to develop. He's Blackpool, I think, this season. And didn't we say last week, is Blackpool in the Championship or in the Championship? Let him have another season, another team in the Championship, and let him develop that wing back sort of role, because it's box to box midfield. That's what it is.
I think athletically he can handle it potentially. It's just whether he has the quality when he gets in that final third. What is he going to do with it? A lot of people speak highly of him because he does play in this role for the youth team years and years ago before the injury. I do like Ian Maatsen a lot. I look at players like Zinchenko, Tsimikas. They didn't cost much at Man City and Liverpool. Ian Maatsen, for me, I don't have any doubts about Ian Maatsen technically. I think technically he's definitely up to it. It's the opposite with him. Physically, can he handle it? Whereas Sterling physically looks like he's built for, top flight football, but then you just ask the question of whether technically if he's going to be able to go to that next level. Ian Maatsen technically, I think, can do it. He can step inside. He can be maybe like an inverted left back at times and come in. Yeah, I can really see him coming into like midfield central areas and helping us keep the ball and stuff. But physically, will people take advantage of the fact that he's quite small? He's not the strongest as well. I know he's got a bit of fight to him, but if we was to play a back four, which is partly because of the Reece point that you made, Reece James maybe needs to play in that right back spot in the back four, which is a good hybrid of just the right side centre back and the right wing back because of the injury issues. Then the left-hand side is Ian Maatsen going to get targeted, but he's got the pace as well to bail him out.
I was just going to say, Matisse, that pace is what we lack in both our flanks. Yeah. We can't build up in a fast manner because our brothers are not fast. They're just not. Not only they're not fast, they don't think quickly as well. And I think someone like Maatsen is going to make the opposition think twice if they want to stand up to him close, because he has the ability to beat them. So we need that level of player, honestly.
I think in terms of that left back role, or both sides actually, Maatsen is definitely someone you'd look more to than Sterling. The point you made about having good physical ability, when it comes to a fullback, I'm not that concerned with that. If you've got the speed, you're sorted. I mean, look at how Ashley Cole used to sort himself out. He was never the biggest, but he got stuck in because he was always quick enough to get back for a challenge, or he'd always be quick enough to keep up with someone. I mean, Ronaldo himself said he's the toughest guy I've ever played against when
he was
one-on-one. Because, but he was tiny. But he was fast and he was always there and he was a nuisance. And as long as you're quick going forward and you're able to cut inside or go on the outside or dribble past or get back in time and get stuck in and just throw the challenges in, slide tackle, time your tackles. You don't need to be a big frame. And we lacked speed. We lacked that speed, especially on that left-hand side. On the right-hand side, when Reece is there, we're all right. On the left-hand side, we just don't have speed, and Chilwell's been out for ages. So Maatsen, to be honest, I think would be someone that we can definitely look to. He's had a really, really, really good loan at Coventry. Everyone speaks highly of him. I think he's played nearly every game. He's like most games. Sterling hasn't. I think Sterling's only played like half the games at Blackpool. Which, anyway, in terms of a loan and development, you'd look to Maatsen. So Maatsen definitely. Sterling, I agree with Miz. Maybe another loan, but he's 22 as well. Time's ticking for him. He could end up becoming another Lewis Baker at this rate.
Sterling's only played 24 championship games. I don't know if it's because of injury or what happened there, but 24 out of 46, so around about half, like you said. I think my only concerns with Maatsen is that will he be good enough defensively 1v1? Which obviously Cole was ridiculous at.
It has to be.
You have to be, because you can have the pace, but if you can't defend 1v1 in terms of, reading a winger, what they're going to potentially do and being really good in the tackle, then you're going to get skinned same way when you do face up to them. And obviously, like I said, just whether he's able to not be targeted physically. But I do like the player in terms of what he can bring. And I think he's the opposite to Chilwell, where Chilwell will want to bomb down the flank and it's really, make us quite stretched and open up the pitch for us and really get down to, and I think Maatsen will be more cultured in terms of the way that he can step into midfield. He just gives us a nice little option in that way. But I do like the fact that if you're gonna go with one, then buy the other. Do you know what I'm saying? And maybe buy someone that can play both sides, so they're not so limited. I would love a version of Cancelo. If we can find another Cancelo somewhere, that would be beautiful. Someone that can play.
We'll have the scouts for that.
Oh my God, I've been screaming out for it. If we can find somebody who's literally like Cancelo, who can play both sides, and then when we do maybe go to wing backs, he can go left wing back, he can go right wing back. It doesn't matter, and it's just proper depth then for rotation. Because that is something that Tuchel wanted last transfer window as well. Let's move into DMs. We obviously spoke about Ampadu as an option. Gilmour is another person, but his position is up for question, because I think obviously Kamara, we're going to get to him because he's available on a free Miz as well. I know you want someone that's a little bit more cost effective in this role as well, instead of splashing. But we'll start with Gilmour. First of all, Younes, what do you see Gilmour as? Do you see him as, because for me, Gilmour's quite an important player to look at for the simple sheer fact that yes, he hasn't had a great loan, but I don't want, if we lose Jorginho, I don't want our midfield to become a midfield that cannot do build-up play and cannot retain possession and get pressed easily and lose the ball with quick turnovers. And that's my fear. If we don't have someone who's good in the first phase, and I think Gilmour has the potential to be very, very good in the first phase, whether it be in a double pivot or even on the ball. He's shown that he can play the regista role on the ball when he was here before. It's just defensively that I would worry about him as a defensive midfielder, because he's not a defensive midfielder. But on the ball, he looks good in that role. So I think he's quite important. And I think it's unpopular, but I think he's actually more ready for a possession-based team than Gallagher would be. So I know everybody's talking about Gallagher, and Gallagher will be involved, and we'll get to him in a minute. But if you're talking about someone that can actually help us in build-up play, if Jorginho leaves, Kante's not going to do that. I think Gilmour is a quite important part of that. But again, I don't know. What do you think, Younes, with this guy? With
Gilmour, on the ball, I have full faith in what he can do. I think his ability on the ball is... I think he's classy. The way he moves with the ball is classy. In the same way that I don't want to bring up big names and like, oh, Gilmore's like this guy, you know. But when you look at styles of a Pirlo, of a Xavi, of an Iniesta, just the coolness that he has on the ball, it's nice to see that he has that, and I love that in a midfielder. I think the one thing that worries me with Gilmore is, and this is out of his control, is just his size. It's just his size. He's small, man. He's
Scottish,
so tiny. But when you're playing in the Premier League, you come up against a monster. It's now depending on how he adapts himself to that situation, and is he able to find himself a solution? Because I feel like it can be, I don't want to say easy, but it can be fairly simple to be physically dominated if you're having an off day, or if you're not moving as quick as you should be. It can be. So that's where it scares me. But that's my only concern with him. I think in terms of the way we play, on the ball, progression, passing, tempo, I think he can do it. And before he went on loan, I even had it like, you know what, maybe we should keep him. Maybe he should just, develop within the squad, and maybe we can find a role. And with Jorginho, if you're looking at someone who can come in and fill that void, it's definitely Billy Gilmour, 100%. But this brings the question in terms of what do we want in our midfield? How are we going to be playing? What style are we going to be using? It brings all those questions, because I feel like Gilmour is tailored to one way. I think if you're not playing in terms of a possession-based style of football, not just that, but you're basing your system around moving the ball, then Gilmour is definitely a part of that. If you're not, and you're at times relying on your defensive ability, or you're relying on, counter-attack, or I don't know. I feel like Gilmour can be very, very just tailor-made to a certain way. However, we'll see, though. That size issue is something he can't control. It just depends how he adapts and how we use him. But Gilmour definitely has promise. On the ball, I like him a lot.
His saving grace is that he's Scottish. His saving grace, because he's got the tenacity. He gets
Brave
stuck
heart.
Yeah, I remember him. I remember he was flying into duels, slide tackles, headers. He was going for everything. I really, really like this player. Along with Ampadu, these are the two players I've been banging on about since, 2019. I remember my tweet that I put up that I got absolutely slaughtered for over Jorginho and Kante. One of the players I mentioned in that tweet was Gilmour. If we're going to get this DM, and I know Miz worries about this DM situation every day that someone brings it up to him about being able to be press resistant, able to pick up the ball from the defense, able to have the touches, able to recycle the ball, able to do all of these things in possession and show up in possession for us. This is my safety net. My safety net is someone like Gilmour. If you play a pivot and Kova's out injured, and you've got that robust DM that's been signed, and they're not really possession based, but they're working on it, they're being coached, whatever's happening, I don't know. Gilmour's there to help them out. And Gilmour is one of the few players I think he suits our team from a position. He's better on the ball than Gallagher. He just is. Gallagher's more off the ball. Gallagher's more counter press. Gallagher's more, get the goals, get into the final third. I don't even see them as anywhere near the same type of midfielder. Gallagher's someone that wants to make, ghost runs into the box and counter press, like I said, and win the ball. And he's an energy ball. He's the English Kante with goals. Obviously nowhere near the level yet, but that's what he is. Whereas, as I've seen so far, Gilmour's, he's the tempo setter. He's the dictator. He's the person that gets on the ball. He's the one that plays those passes. And even though Liverpool are great in transition, and they're quick, and they move the ball fast, and they're very energetic, and they got a lot of ball winners in the midfield, which is what Mason and Gallagher and all these guys could be. Ruben carry the ball, transitions. They still have Thiago. And Gilmour's nowhere near Thiago, but we ain't going to sign Thiago. So we need to make Thiago. And for me, you need to make somebody. I think people have forgotten the amount of hype this guy had around him. And I don't think it was unjustified. Yeah. Roy Keane does not speak about midfielders the way he spoke about Billy Gilmour. I think there's a lot to unlock this player. Now, I don't know whether he needs to stay or go out on loan, but there's the Foden example of staying and being coached by your manager and looked after in that manner, instead of just sending him out to any old team like we did. And then he gets absolutely abused by Norwich fans. Or if you actually send him out, he has to go to the right place. Somewhere like Brighton, if they were to get rid of Basuma, they need another midfielder. Graham Potter, someone who's going to actually play the right style of football. Miz, you touched on it a bit with Gilmore, but what do you make of this guy before we move on to Kamara, who's available on a free?
I'll go back to what Younes was saying. I think, look, there's no right or wrong answer here. It's philosophies, it's style, it's perspectives, what you want to do. I don't necessarily see Billy Gilmore as the deepest midfielder. I don't see him as someone who sits deep and simply just does the build-up play. Because off the ball, you need to be well aware. You need to be robust. So that's why I've been banging on about recently that I want a John Obi Mikel type of player who is not just great defensively, but with the ball, simple passes. Keep the football simple. One touch, lay it off on the left, lay it off on the right. And I see Billy Gilmore as someone like who sits with the sitter. So you got the sitter and you got Billy Gilmore as the engineer of the midfield. So much like your Thiago Alcantara or your Gundogan of the City's world. I see Billy Gilmore as that type of a player. So that's why for me, the DM role, I wouldn't be given to Billy because that's not how I vision us playing next season. Yeah. This is what I've been banging on about. Let's get someone like Boubacar Kamara. Let's get someone like Basuma. Even, Weigl. He's very good on the ball, but defensively, he's a lot better than Jorginho. He's a lot more robust. But if it was up to me, it would be Boubacar Kamara, Basuma. There's a few other names. This is the one,
well, for me,
many other reasons.
I might disagree, but I feel like Basuma is more of a box-to-box. Or more of a second player in the pivot. I don't see Basuma as a sitter as much as I would Kamara. I think Basuma, for me, he still wants to be that person that covers different spaces and zones. I don't see him as a stationary midfielder that will just sit.
But I think he's got the discipline. I think if you tell him that I need you to play that, he can play that. Whereas someone like Kante, we think theoretically that he can do that, but he doesn't have the discipline. Yeah, he doesn't have the discipline. Look, I've watched Brighton recently against, was it Spurs or was it someone else? I can't remember exactly. He had the brilliant discipline to just sit deep and orchestrate the one-touch passes. Does he at times look for opportunity to bomb up? Sure, and that's fine. Fabinho does that at times. Rodri does that at times. But predominantly be disciplined to make sure you're there in front of the two defenders or three defenders in transition, that you're there to sniff out anything. So for me, I personally wouldn't keep Billy Gilmore. I would take him, send him for another loan. I don't mind, but if he is staying, I wouldn't have Billy Gilmore as my deepest midfielder, if I'm being absolutely honest. You can, but you would then need to have a different system of your midfield. Do you know what I mean? If you want Billy to be the Andre Pirlo kind of a player, you better have 2 8s that are going to be Yaya Toure and whoever else. Like, do you know what I'm trying to say? Like, because Billy ain't going to do that.
Yeah.
He needs protection. Yeah, this is spot on. Yeah. He needs that protection. If he's left on his ones, he's gonna get wrecked. So if he has protection next to him, he has freedom to then be able to do as he pleases and not worry about, say, conceding possession, which he rarely does, and that's what I like about him. But if you never know, he has protection next to him, and that's definitely key. Kamara, is Kamara free? Is he available on a free?
Kamara's free. Kessie at AC Milan is free as well. I was just going through.
How is Kamara available on a free?
He's gone to Barcelona.
Oh, is he gone? Okay, all right. There.
Also, to Barca,
Mazraoui. I know you were talking about right backs. I forgot to bring him up. Mazraoui at Ajax, the right back, is available on a free as well. He's quite good.
He's gone to Bayern as well, Matisse.
It's done. Oh, really? Okay, this is not a thing.
This is the thing. Sanctions have killed us.
Ms. Romano.
I'll be getting the news from Romano.
Is he still available? 39-year-old Kolarov. Perisic is another one as well. Some people have said to play wing back.
He's a good one, I would say. Ivan Perisic. I don't know if you guys noticed Inter Milan against Liverpool in the Champions League.
Yes. Yep.
He wasn't bad.
Perisic on a one-year deal potentially at wing back for both sides.
Why not?
An interesting option. I know it's not glitz and glamour, but Perisic was someone that Mourinho really wanted as well a long time ago. So, but Kamara, talk to me about your confidence in this guy, because I've spoken to Julian about this quite a few times. He loves Kamara, so Marseille.
Bro, Kamara, whether it's DM, whether it's CB in the middle, he's versatile. So it goes back to the point, as you said, Matisse, having the intelligence to play multiple positions. Very good on the ball, very good defensively, doesn't hide away from getting into, tackles and winning balls. I think that's the other thing. Having the hunger to win the ball back. Not as soon as you have possession and you lose, I think this season what we've seen, our team just quickly retrieves. No, go there and counter press and win the ball back. Like there seems to be a panic as soon as we lose the ball and our shape goes out of sync and we go into a lot of disarray. I think Boubacar Kamara is going to be one of those players that, I'm going to try and make that pass. And as I said, I don't need him to make those passes. Keep it very simple. Have an engineer like Kovacic next to you. And maybe, I don't know whether it's Ruben, Mason Mount, have those technical players next to you, but most probably Kovacic, and allow them to express themselves. Do you know what I mean? You do the simple stuff. And if Kova mistimes a pass, you be the first one to go and rectify the situation. Do you know what I mean? So for me, Kamara gives me that. And this is what I just quickly circle back, because I always have to say about this. This is what I don't want Declan Rice. Like, whether it's 150 million, 100 million, 80 million, for me to do that job, which I don't take lightly one bit, I don't need Declan to do that. And if you see Declan's heat map this season, it's predominantly as a box-to-box on the 8 and Souček as the other one on that side. Declan is not someone who's in the middle and he's got a lot of heat sort of in the middle of the park. If you look at Jorginho, he's mostly middle of the park. So if people are expecting Declan to come in and simply do that sort of role, one-touch pass, move it around, let Kova express himself, let Ruben Loftus-Cheek express himself. Yep, okay, at times bomb up when you see the right opportunity. I don't know. I don't think Declan is that type of a player. He may be, but for that price, just insane for me.
The price is my problem, yeah. I mean, Younes, what do you make of Declan?
No,
I mean, we're not going to go through big transfers, but yeah.
I was just going to say, every time I hear express themselves, I just think of like Lampard going, "Go on, lads, go out there and express yourselves."
Oh, bro, Lampard beat us, man. Show some respect.
He did. Fair play to Lamps. Fair play to Lamps. With Kamara, and this whole, even with Declan Rice, when you look at a player like Tchouaméni, who we hype and we know, he's up there. We'd love to have him.
Yeah.
If that energy is being given to someone like Tchouaméni, that energy should be given to someone like Kamara, who's available on a free, because Kamara is a very, very good defensive midfielder. And if he's available for free, you look at what he does as a profile, it suits, it works, and not just you talking what he does on the pitch. Like, we know as a defensive midfielder in terms of how solid he is and how disciplined he is, and how well he's been playing at Marseille. But there's something about me in certain positions, I reckon, not just of what you can do on the pitch, but what you're bringing to that role as a profile of player that you are, what you're about as a person. Kamara, in a defensive midfielder role, I want, personally, my opinion, someone who is not just going to be able to know how to move at the speed and tempo we want to, but who's going to be solid, who's going to cut lanes off, who's going to get stuck in, who's going to do the dirty work, and who's going to have that mentality of, you ain't getting past, I'm going to break you. Like, that's just how, don't mean break you and then get sent off. I mean, in a disciplined way, in a controlled way, yeah. Like,
5 red cards every season.
Yeah, you don't want that. When you look at Kamara, born and bred Marseille. Now, you look at Marseille and the way those lads are brought up in Marseille, it's nuts. It's nuts. Senegalese background. We've had a very good history when it comes to certain roles in the pitch. With African background, it just works. And Kamara, who's gone through that system in Marseille, who's still at Marseille, who's done very well in that role, for free, Chelsea have to at least pay attention to that. Have to at least pay attention for that. And if we want protection in that defensive midfielder role, I think he'll provide that. The same way we reckon Tchouaméni would do it is the same way I reckon Kamara would do it. And that brings to the point of, do we need to spend 150 million on Declan Rice just because he's doing well in the Premier League? It's too much. I don't think it'd be 150, if I'm honest, unless if West Ham stick to their guns, which they're already trying to promise Declan Rice. You're going to be club captain for this amount of years. You're going to stay as a new contract. Personally, I think he stays at West Ham.
It depends on Thursday. If they win the Europa League, I think that becomes a very difficult situation. With Tchouaméni's still my favourite option, obviously, because I think I seen he was available for like 60 million, and he has been one of the best players in league, top 3 players for the last 2 seasons. So you just know he is going to be elite. And I think still 60 million euros is a good price. I don't know what that converts into pounds, but I think that's a great price. I would bite your hand off for Tchouameni. I've been asking for him since last summer when I see him in his first season. I think Kamara is a very important second option to have there as the free, because it's just a bargain. It's just a ridiculous bargain, 22 years old. So, you know, I like these options. We do need to bring someone in. I think it's realistic that we only get one, and then Ampadu becomes the second if Jorginho leaves. So like we mentioned earlier. Let's talk about Gallagher. Gallagher's an interesting player, right? Had an incredible season. He's probably going up there for Young Player of the Year right now in the Premier League. He's definitely a contender for a lot of people. Although last month or two, he's definitely fallen off. He's definitely fallen off by the wayside last month or so. He hasn't really been at his level, but he's young. He's going to be inconsistent. It happens. He's had a very, very, very good season. Miz, where do you see this guy fitting in? Because for me, the only way he fits in, and I said the same with Loftus-Cheek, I think Gallagher is here next year regardless, because I think Tuchel just really wants to have this player that is going to give him another option to Mason Mount tactically, I think, in this team. I think they're not the same player, but tactically they can be used in a similar way. And I think it just allows Mason to be, first of all, on his toes and have to produce more and better. And also for resting him as well, because he's not looked after in terms of that. But if we don't switch to a 3-man midfield, someone ain't making this cut in this midfield, because there's just too many options. Exactly. Especially if Kante is staying, then you've got Kante, Ruben, Gallagher, Mason, Kova. That's 5 players. So you better be playing a midfield 3, because if you're playing a pivot, one of those names needs to keep it moving, because I don't need to see that many box-to-box midfielders. That's just too many. It's again imbalance. So, but on the basis that we play the 3-man midfield, because I think that's kind of the way we're lining up our team to be like, in terms of the way that we've been going about this so far.
Do you reckon like a 4-3-3 or 3-5-2?
Yeah.
Quickly?
Either or, I suppose. Yeah.
I would say either or, because of Silva, we'd have to switch at times, but preferably 4-3-3 at this point.
Yeah.
Because of Reece James. What do you think of Gallagher, Miz, so far? What are you taking from it? Because it's easy for everyone to say he's had a great loan, so he's going to come in and be great, but we know that's not always how it works. So I am 100% certain there's going to be a little bit of a drop-off minimum, but what are you thinking?
Well, look, there's always a chance of some sort of drop-off throughout the season, and that's understandable, but he has to be part of the squad. That's how I look at it. I've seen too many games from Crystal Palace where he's been very, very good. But for me, just like you, Matisse, he has to be part of 3-man midfield. Like, I can't imagine him with in a double pivot. Who do we like? Who's the other partner? Like, is it Jorginho? Well, then there's still imbalance. Is it Kante? There's still imbalance. For me, it's going to be Conor Gallagher. Like, the way I'm picturing it with the conversations that we've had, let's say you have someone like Boubacar Kamara, you have Kovacic, and you've got Billy Gilmore. You've got a bit of everything there. Do you know what I mean? So you've got Boubacar Kamara, who's going to ensure you're absolutely protected. You've got the engineer with Kovacic, and you've got the workhorse with Conor Gallagher that can be box-to-box, score some goals, assist as well. I think that creates a very good balanced midfield. So that's how I picture it. I definitely think he has to be part of it. He cannot be ignored anymore. You cannot go through the season you've gone through with Crystal Palace. And let's be honest, Patrick Vieira will go down as one of the better managers this season. So he would have learned a lot tactically, from technical point of view as well. So Thomas Tuchel will be very, very satisfied with a player like him. And I think the point that you once again made, Matisse, someone like Mace, it's time there's some competition, proper competition for him. Because some of the players that we brought in, people say, we got in Ziyech, we got Havertz, we got this, that, the other. But Mason's the one that rose above everyone. No, none of them play Mason's role. Let's be honest. None of them really play Mason's role. Mason's been having a nice run and taking nothing away from Mason. He's been very good this season, probably just a bit up and down. Next season, I want to see Conor Gallagher come in, because he'll do exactly what Mace does. And I want to see now how you battle with another academy product that wants it as much as you.
Yep.
Do you know what I mean? That guy's going to want it as much as you. So let's see how you face up to that.
Yeah, I don't want to see too many times midfield of Mace, Gallagher, and the DM. I think
Imbalanced,
Cover's. I think it's imbalanced. And I think
Declan Mace Gallagher. That's
yeah,
what they want.
that's what
Declan
people love. That's what people love to put around. I think it's very disrespectful. I think it's very disrespectful to what Kovacic does in the first phase. I really think it is. It's very disrespectful to what Kova does in the first phase. I would prefer Kova as one of those players in one of their eights. I'd prefer even Gilmore as one of those options in one of those eights. I'd prefer Ruben as one of those options in the eight over having those two together. I think they should be competing against each other more time, because I think that's exactly how I envision it in terms of the two players and what they bring to the team tactically. And I don't want to see Gallagher in a pivot. You're right. You know, if you're going to play Gallagher, for me, either he's going to play this second. He's going to play in this cam role in maybe a 4-2-3-1 where he's just behind the striker trying to ghost in if Kai's dropping off and Connor's running in behind him, but more likely a 3-man midfield. But you want to get him. The whole reason why everybody's raving about him is because he's getting into the box at Palace. He's scoring goals. He's being that midfielder that arrives late and gets goals. So the last thing you then do is shackle him, which is what we love to do with our midfielders, put him in a pivot and say, you need to be a bit defensively aware here and help that DM. Now, he's going to have to be defensively aware, of course, but in a 3-man midfield, he's just got more license to go. And it's the same with Ruben in a 3-man midfield. He's just got more license to go, more freedom to go. He can do the tackles and interceptions. We know Conor can win the ball back. He did it at West Brom. Difference with West Brom, though, is they had less possession. In a pivot at Chelsea, you're going to have more touches of the football. And Conor's passing is not on the level where you really want him deep in the first phase like that. I think he's better in the second phase, going into the final phase. In transition, I think transitions will obviously move on, but I think Rice is good for transitions. And the way Liverpool, and especially if we're going to keep players like Werner or Lukaku, we need to get way better at transitions. I have not seen Chelsea score a goal from a counter-attack in ages, because the way that we don't transition quickly. Every time Mendy has the ball to roll it out quick, we don't roll it out quick. Every time we win the ball back, we don't go quickly into the transition, into the counter. We don't counter-attack. We always reset, reshuffle the deck of cards and start again. I want to see a Chelsea team that, yes, can keep the ball, yes, can have possession, but can also transition and counter-attack. Actually counter-attack, and actually have players that can make decisions in the final third properly and pick out the right pass when it needs to be picked out and score the goal. Because it's easier to attack and score goals when you have less defenders to deal with, and that is what counter-attacking is all about, taking advantage of space.
Look at Liverpool, Matisse. Look at Liverpool.
Exactly.
They're very good possessionally. A lot of people think Liverpool's not really a possession-based. No, they are. With Thiago Alcantara, they're completely a possession-based footballing team now. They know exactly what needs to happen with the ball. But Liverpool is at their potent best is when you've got a corner or when you've got a free kick. That's when they pounce on the second ball and they release players like Salah and Mane with Trent releasing those vertical balls or crossfield balls and sending Salah and Mane through. So very important that we sharpen that side of our game up.
They end up breaking into a 4v2 or 5v2, and it's just you ain't defending that. They will score. You know, so like the way we do sometimes, I've seen opportunities, and this happened against United. We had opportunities, we launched a counter-attack. Yeah. We are in a 4v2 or a 3v2, and we just slow down and we just stop. And we have like the Willian effect. Do you remember when Willian used to just like try to dribble, then he'd stop and he'd just look at his opponent and then he'd be like, and everyone's getting back into position.
Yeah, like, it's so annoying. It's true. But he was good on the counter-attack, to be fair to him. He was good on the counter.
Yeah. Whereas now it's like we stagnate ourselves and it's just annoying.
We're even worse now. I'm going to go through some free options before I move on, because I always do, just to stop me if you're entertained by any of these, because potentially we could need a more creative spark in the middle. With all the names that we've mentioned, I don't still have that real creator in midfield, like someone who can make that defense split and pass in against low blocks. So you've got Kevin Prince Boateng, you've got Wetzel running out of contract, you've got Tolosu at Bayern Munich running out of contract, the French midfielder.
Oh, Tolisso.
Got Ben Arfa. Cesc Fabregas, we know him. I take him back in a heartbeat.
Is he still playing? I thought he's retired.
I think he might be retiring, but he's on this list anyway. Di Maria's here as well. Obviously, who else is here that I remember that I was trying to remember? Juan Mata's obviously run out of contract.
Can I throw a name?
Yeah.
Eriksen.
I was just about to get to him,
He's free. He's free, by the way. Christian Eriksen, Fabrizio Romano puts out those 2 eyes emojis and goes, look out for where he's going. A lot of people are going to be in the live chat going, oh, him is talking crap again. I'm telling you, Christian Eriksen, see what he did against us when we played Brentford. Like, and I'm not saying use Eriksen as a regular starter is an option.
Yeah.
Someone who's going to find those vertical passes, someone who's going to find those defense splitting passes, cross-field passes. Like, we don't have that. We have zero verticality in our midfield. How often have you seen?
It's annoying.
Like look at Thiago Alcantara for Liverpool. His passes on a regular basis are all vertical. It's always splitting something. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Us, side to side, side to side, side to side. Take it to Reece James. Reece James whips it in. Oh, no one there. Like,
do you think he would join us though, considering his affiliation with Tottenham? That's my thing. I don't.
That's why I want it.
Money,
that's
why
it'd be good.
Come on.
That's why it'd be. Can you imagine?
That's what would be good.
I mean,
You're a menace to society. You're a menace.
That's why it'll be good.
Another free option is Paul Pogba, of course. Now, a lot of people are very divided on him. They don't. Now, I get it completely because he's going to come in on high wages.
Too much baggage.
He's not consistent as well. He hasn't been consistent at Manchester United. So you're taking a risk. But he can do it. He's an option. He's available for free. But again, we're talking about also trying to bring the wage bill down. I understand concerns on that as well. And he hasn't been consistent. So he's just an option. Just throwing him out there.
Can you imagine Lukaku and Pogba?
I don't want to bring that friendship together. No. But yeah, I'm not trying to bring that. And if Pogba, Lukaku, and Ziyech, the 3 best friends that anyone could have. Oh my God, this football club would be so heavily reliant on them 3 actually giving a shit. Because if they ever decide that they're just like shades on, private jet, fuck this. We are finished. We are finished as an institution.
Tuchel will be like, Pogba, I'm out. I'll see you later.
Oh God, you'd be hoping so much that they have inner motivation to beat Manchester United and to not just beat Manchester United, but actually want to prove themselves in this league and win this league. But I'm kind of tired of that because I mean clearly that hasn't been working out for our striker as it is. So
Pogba is an immense talent. Once again, no disrespect to his talent. But he's too much drama, man. I don't know whether he comes in and, he does something off field. And then once again, Thomas Tuchel's going to get barraged.
But you know what? The thing is, do you know what I think Pogba gets a harsh rep? He doesn't actually do anything off field. This is the thing. Everything that people really should be complaining about
chases him or whatever.
Yeah. What people should be complaining about with Pogba is what he does on the pitch. Whether he is good enough defensively that you can rely upon him in a double pivot, whether he makes enough interceptions and tackles when you don't have the ball, or is he just someone that you have to give a free roll and a free pass to and just build the team around in a camp? Position, is he versatile enough in the fact that, that he can give you enough things? Obviously on the ball, he's got everything that you could possibly need in terms of strengths. But then, like I said, off the ball, he can have loads of weaknesses and it can make you sometimes be exposed. And we've seen that many a time for Man United in transitions and whatnot. That's what they should be talking about with Pogba. He's not done anything off the field. He's not done nothing.
No,
nothing.
What did he do with Jose Mourinho? Wasn't there some sort of
Nah. In comparison, because I know the way the media like to run this. In comparison with Grealish, who likes to crash cars drunk, in comparison with other players, Pogba has done nothing to warrant any sort of bad reputation off the pitch. It's not even. It's a complete farce. It's built up by media narrative, by people in studios that sit there and chat nonsense about Pogba's unprofessional, Pogba got an attitude problem. My only concern with Pogba is he going to be a liability off the ball that we have to look after, which he probably will be, and his wages, and that's my and his consistency. Those are my issues. I don't off the pitch. You got no problems with Pogba whatsoever. He's not gonna cause a bad dressing room. He's not gonna do any of that. Right, that won't happen. Lukaku, that's been an issue, but not Pogba. And the thing is with Lukaku, finally, before Younes goes, Lukaku had a history of causing issues off the pitch with the way that he always wants to be outspoken and have these interviews. He's had the interviews before. He's actually got a bit of a track record on it, whereas Pogba doesn't seem to have that. So, but yeah,
no, Pogba doesn't. He doesn't have a discipline problem.
And he's injury prone.
Doesn't have that. The thing with Pogba, as you enlightened, is on the pitch reflected with what he's portrayed as off the pitch doesn't match. And I think Pogba has, I don't want to say it's an ego issue. He knows like he's of a certain standard or certain caliber, and he kind of inflates that even further in terms of his socials, in terms of the way that he portrays himself. It's almost like an ego issue, and fans, I think, expect that to translate on the pitch as well. Okay, if you're of that level, okay, I need to see you putting in performances, and he doesn't. And that's where I think people misinterpret as a attitude issue or he's bad off the pitch. He's not. It's just his performances are not matching his ego. And the two, that's where the clash is. And I think people at that point go, he's full of himself and he's a bad rep and all of that. I just don't think he's consistent enough on the pitch. And that's what's letting him down. But is he a talent? Absolutely. You see it for France. He plays immense. But yeah, would he come in and would it be too much? I just think it's too much baggage for us. We've had enough drama. We need to stop with the drama. Like that's it. We can't entertain even a little gram of what could turn into a big, massive issue. Like
But he's also got a few injury issues as well that have been pointed out to me because I haven't been. I kind of maybe underplayed his injury issues. I didn't realize that he had so many injuries racking up so often. So that's a bit of an issue. As well,
wage will be the biggest concern. He's going to ask a lot of wages.
Yeah, 100%. So. It's a couple glaring issues there. So that's the midfield. Obviously, out wide, we know that Dembele is available on a free. We know that Dybala is available on a free. Before we move to striker, any of those guys suit you in terms of free transfers? Because obviously we know that we're looking for some sort of winger. Pulisic's dad's come out and said that he's unsettled and wants more minutes. I'm not even gonna. I feel like if I get into that, I'm going to go on a madness. So I'm just going to... There's a large portion of US followers here. I'm going to protect you guys today and not talk.
Bro, no, you know what? Yeah, I find it incredible, the whole Pulisic debate. I'm just going to talk about it really briefly.
You can go for it.
No, listen, when I speak good about Pulisic, right, I get people going... you're a Pulisic lover. You need to play every single game. And then when I criticize Pulisic a little bit, you're a Pulisic hater. You think he shouldn't play? I'm like, what? Make your mind up, people. It's crazy. It's crazy. Yeah, man.
That's literally what I get all the time in my comments. You would never be like this if it was Pulisic. What? What are you talking about? I don't have a Pulisic agenda. In fact, if you listen to me, I actually say the two first forwards I want out the door are Lukaku and Werner. Been saying it for months. And Pulisic, I'd actually give one more year if I had to, because we can't get rid of everyone. So I'd actually go with him one more year. That's a lot more patience than a lot of other people are willing to show Pulisic. Trust me, because Pulisic's been here since Mason Mount's been here under Lampard first season. So he's been here longer than most of the attackers. He's been here longer than Werner. He's been here longer than Kai. He's been here longer than Ziyech. But if anything, I'm too nice. Y'all taking a piss.
No, but now this is the thing. Now you're talking like this about Pulisic. No, you love him too much. You want him to play every game.
Oh yeah.
You got an agenda of him having to play every single game for Chelsea. Now we can't have that.
This is my stance with Pulisic and my stance with Ziyech, because these two are in the secondary category behind the Werners and the Lukakus, who I feel like are just. Even with Werner, like it's just the fact he earns the amount he earns. I just feel like it's just a waste of money. We need to get that off the wage bill and just go again. I like what he can bring with his pace and his desire and his commitment and his attitude, but you can get that with another player on 120k, who can also be technically a little bit better at defeating low blocks, like a Diaz at Liverpool. Great example of that. Someone who presses, someone who runs in behind, someone who can shoot. Because you know, Chelsea fans are in a position now where they feel like. You can have, if someone's got some things, you can't have any more. Like, that's all you can have. So Werner presses, Werner runs, Werner creates space, Werner commits, Werner helps us create more chances. Okay, that's great. But on 270k a week, I would also, that's nearly 300k a week. Can I just make that clear? For that amount of money, you better be able to shoot. You better be able to dribble. You better be able to pass low blocks. What Diaz did.
You better be able to control the ball like Diaz. When the ball comes in, he flicks it with his left.
When he fucking controls it with his back heel, you better be able to do that. You better be able to entertain me. You're on nearly 300k a week. You shouldn't just be a road runner that I have to applaud. You should actually be able to fucking do some samba, some flicks, some tricks. I want to be entertained. This is football. I feel like Chelsea fans have forgotten what it's like to enjoy football. Yeah. Eden Hazard. Yeah. Eden Hazard. For that much money, you should be able to entertain me as well. You should be able to do everything. So, excuse me, but 270k a week, I don't want to hear it. What Diaz is doing when he came on for Liverpool the other night was ridiculous. He changed the whole game.
Mad.
So that means it doesn't matter. It's not circumstantial. It has to be a high line. We have to be great in transition. No. If the team parks the bus, you're still going to come onto this pitch and do something. You need, at that much money, you shouldn't be able to pick and choose which scenarios you can do stuff in. You should be able to do it under any circumstance. That is any circumstance type money. That is multi-dimensional, multifaceted money that you're making. You should be able to do it come rain, come shine, come high line, come low block, come left-hand side, come striker, not this inverted, inbreeded, visionary position. I want it all, as Sharpay would say. Don't make me play the song again, Younes. You already know what High School Musical I'm talking about. I want it all. I want it all. On that money, you're taking up that much of the wage bill. I want it all. But this is not a team of earner rant anyway.
How much does he earn? 272 grand a week, yeah?
Yeah, something like that.
How much does Luis Diaz earn?
Probably half that. Not even.
No, it's not even half. Don't make me do this, guys.
It's less than half.
Don't make me do this.
It's about 130, 40.
You're going to be shocked. You're going to be shocked. You're going to be shocked. This is why I look at Liverpool and I'm like, oh my God, what a football club right now, man.
Do you know what? Recently, Younes, I've been saying what a brilliant football club, the way they run, and people having a go at me. Oh, this guy's, closet Liverpool fan now. Like
Diaz,
you have to admire it.
Diaz makes 56,000 a week.
What?
Timothy makes 60.
They say 50. Yeah, there's some saying 56. There's some saying 67 tops. It doesn't.
Whatever. Regardless.
67K a week.
Less than 100,000.
Luis Diaz, buff 60.
He makes 56. And do you know what? I saw someone tweet this. We need to start going for these ballers that need to feed families. They need to feed villages. Yeah. We need to start going for these ballers that really want it. They're really hungry.
Yeah.
Like they actually have responsibilities with the money that they're making. Not these guys
look at Sadio Mane as well. Sadio Mane feeds an entire country. Like there's a lot of portion that he sends as charity.
Because when Liverpool scout, they don't just get ability. They don't just say, I like this player, he looks great. They get personality. And that's why I've had question marks over someone like Dembele. People are like, how could you? Because it's about there's other parts of a footballer, not just ability, that we are not scouting when we look for these players. We're not looking at the deep depths of their lives and their personalities and what they stand for and things like this. It's very important. Because then when the going gets tough, are they going to stand up and continue to keep fighting? Or are they going to down tool on Tuchel and say, fuck it, I'll just wait until he gets sacked? We really, really need to look at the way Liverpool scout. It's much more than just transfer fee, player, ability, and that's it. They go into depth about personality. And I've spoken about it before, with the environment at this club is always tapped. It's always tapped because we don't scout personalities. We don't look at players and say, does this mesh well with our environment? Does this make our environment stronger? Or does it make it weaker? Personality. This is what they look at. Because you can't analyze Klopp's time at Liverpool of 6 years and now to be 10 and think, how comes there's never any sagas? But at our club, there's always drama. Drama is surrounded by more drama. We are the problem. It's like being involved in a group of friends where there's always gossiping, there's always bitching, there's always drama. It's probably because of the individuals in the circle. So look at that. Yeah. Look at that. Really, we really should be looking at, we should be analysing not only the performance this season, but the drama. And that is obviously come from Lukaku, but it's happened before. So we need to really analyse the personalities that we scout and actually think to ourselves, wow, why have we always got so much drama at this football club? Maybe we should change that. Maybe we should change that. We should. I don't see any goalkeepers at Liverpool going to Belgium press and chatting shit for them like we had. I don't see any Belgium. Bro, Belgium looking real snaky right now. I'm telling you. You better be careful. Belgium looking mad snaky, bro. I'm telling you, I don't like to do this, but y'all finished out here.
It's true. The personalities are so important. Personalities are so crucial because you look at, before anything, who are you? What are your values? Who are you as a man? That's key. Before everything that you bring to the table with your ability, but who are you as a character? I mean, another example. Klopp just signed a new deal with Liverpool, didn't he? Right, 2026. His salary is not getting increased. It's the same.
Yeah.
And on top of that, he's managed to make sure that his staff, who are getting new contracts as well, because they all got contracts at the same time, they're getting increases.
Wow.
But he didn't.
Wow.
And he's cool with that. How do you want them not to be happy? How do you want people to not work for you? Like, bro, it's little things. And Mane, like, you go back to how much these guys are making. He's on 100K. I mean, he'll probably get a new deal, but
apparently he drives in with a Mini Cooper or something. Like, he doesn't care.
Yeah, he's Kante-esque. They're very, very humble. Very humble. Yeah, very humble.
He spends a lot of his income sends it to Senegal, and helps out families, schools.
He built a new hospital there.
Yeah, food.
Yeah.
But I do have to say one thing. You guys are going to find it funny. Matisse said, someone like Dembele. I was against Dembele, but I'm a massive advocate. I think we need Dembele.
You watch a lot of Barca now.
I watch a lot of Barca.
But with Dembele, Barca been in some ropey form as well. So you've seen Barca in the shit recently. But I think Dembele is leading for he's up there with assists this season. I think he may be second, joint with Benzema or something. So he's doing very, very well. And I am very impressed.
Stats as well, bro. Look at his dribble stats. The amount
and he can play both flanks.
Yeah. Both-footed Matisse.
Both flanks, bro. I'm not gonna lie to you. As much as I haven't liked the injury concerns and the previous professionalism, it's very difficult to turn down when you can play both flanks. If he can get rid of these injury issues and both foot, and he, it's like a human song that can dribble. If he can get rid of the injury issues and his attitude is spot on, which I would hope it would be because it's too cool and they have a past relationship, I wouldn't be opposed to it because the guy I've always rated him technically. He's so good technically, but I have to say he cannot get injured over here like he has been, because if he does, we can't use him. We can't. My biggest concern is having him and Pulisic in the same squad and they're both injured at the same time. That is my biggest cry for help as a person. If I see him and Pulisic in the same squad and they're both injured for like 2 months, we're screwed. We're literally screwed.
He hasn't been injured in a while, though, is he?
I was just going to say that. So Xavi came in November, December.
That's exactly when his last injury was.
And that's exactly. And since then, he's been managed well. He's been playing well. Assist numbers off the chart. Look, I don't want to talk about stats. The stats look fantastic. I want to now tell you what I've seen when I see Barcelona. Yeah. He's so direct, man. He gets the ball. The first thing he does, he looks up and he sees the opposition defender and he goes, do you know what, MF, I'm going to take you on right now. And he drills in direct to and the defenders, they literally start jockeying and they don't know which way or which side to go to. And Dembele, whether it's the right side, he'll take you on the right. Either he'll go away from you and then whip in across, or he'll take you on and cut in and he'll whip in across with his left. Similarly, he'll do that on the right, left side as well. He can either go on the left, whip in across with the left, or he cut in and whip in a shot with his right. I think this is a cheat code. Like, if we want someone who's going to be a bit of a demon for us, and Matisse always gets this on Big Six, 1v1 demon. Do you know what I mean? Like, this guy is proper 1v1 demon. There's no doubt about that. On a free as well, which is, look, nothing is free.
Wages will be huge. Wages will be huge.
Look,
I've seen PSG willing to pay him like 300K or something.
And this is the thing. Look, nothing is ever free because they'll all want signing on fee. They'll want agent fees, this, that, the other. But at the end of the day, it'll be a lot cheaper than paying transfer fee to a club if it was in a 3-year contract or 4-year, 2 years left and whatnot. So the wages will be a concern as well. He ain't going to come for cheap. I think that's been the stumbling block at Barcelona. There's rumors that Xavi badly wants him. So there could be some sort of a solution that they may let go of more players, ensuring that they can give that level of money to Ousmane Dembele. But he's one player. Look, this is the reason why I've been so sad when I heard Rudiger was leaving, is that there are certain players that you give the money to. There are certain players that you go, do you know what? You actually deserve it. Much like what's going on with Mo Salah. I think Mo Salah wants a lot of money, and I think Liverpool is obliging almost to that factor. They're willing to go above that wage structure, but they're not willing to absolutely decimate it. But they're willing to give him a lot of money, a lot of money. So I've got no issues if every now and then the right player gets that level of money. Do you know what I mean? I think Ousmane Dembele is one of those players. On a free, the attributes he's going to be able to bring for us is going to be invaluable. And knowing that the history that he has with Thomas Tuchel, albeit one season, but it's not just that. I think Thomas Tuchel in one of the press conferences said that when he was manager at PSG and whenever Barcelona was around, he actually kept in touch with Ousmane Dembele. Like they'd meet up, they'll have coffee, this, that. So I'm all for this, man. I really am.
It's certain players you've got to take that risk, innit? And this is one of those ones that sounds like you're willing to take that risk, Miz. You're willing to, but on the wage as well. What would you do with those wages? Because he's gonna want a lot of wages. That's why,
bro, fancy it up with bonuses. Fancy it up with sign-on fees. Do you know what I mean? I'll give you a massive sign-on fee. I'll give you off the bat 10, 15 million, and then let's reduce the wages over the 3-year contract, 4-year contract, whatever. I'll give you some bonuses if you hit a certain amount of goals per season. I'll give you that. If we hit Champions League quarterfinals, semifinals, if we win it, I'll give you X amount of money. Let's motivate him to do well. Do you know what I mean? You can fancy up these contracts and find a solution. So it's just a matter of sitting down with this guy and his agents and actually going, okay, look, what if we don't give you 300 pops every week, but we give you, I don't know, 220, but hear me out, big signing on fee, X, Y, Z, and the other.
Yeah, and any incentive helps, Look at PSG. They get their players to go and clap to fans and get paid for it. Like Mbappe, here's 2 million. Please go over and clap to the fans. No problem.
I still can't believe that shit is true. Surely you're joking.
Crazy. It's crazy how that's actually legit, man. I could not believe it when I saw that for the first time. I'm like, yo, this is how contracts work that we don't know about. Yeah. But then again, it's PSG. They take it to another level.
Before we get to the final striker, Dybala is another one that's available on a free. I don't want him. Actually.
Oh, you don't want him? Wow.
No, I can't work him out.
Why?
I can't work him out as a footballer. I don't. Right. There's something about him. I just don't know. I prefer Dembele, if I'm honest, because I know at least Dembele can be an out-and-out winger and can be that guy in a lot of different zones.
Dybala can play false nine. Like if we wanted to play false nine, he can play proper false nine.
Can he play proper false nine, or is he like this another player that's like not really a winger, not really a striker? Because my thing is, my biggest issue with Dybala is that we've got Kai and we've got Ziyech. We've got enough of these left footers that like to operate in that tucked in zone. Point. And if Dybala comes in, I just feel like it's just overload.
It's too many.
It's too many. Whereas Dembele really can go, stay wide and get that crossing, and then on the left hand side he can do what he can do. So he just gives you much more things that you don't have already in this team. Because I assume, Havertz is definitely staying. Ziyech probably will stay. So yeah. All right, let's get to Broja to wrap this up. I know there was a lot of hype on Broja at the start of the season. Had a good start, tailed off massively now. Massively.
I'm a bit disappointed by that. I really am.
How do you feel about it? Yeah.
Look, I had several tweets, even in Instagram. Like I'd tag him on my stories. You'd actually see it. I'd see that it's been seen by him, and I'd say that, look, I expect this, Armando Broja to be one of the higher up in top scorer sort of situation. He was flying at one stage, and it's a bit disappointing that he's not been able to help out Southampton as the season went on. And now, as you said, Matisse, as the season really coming to an end, he's really tailed off. Look, I still believe in the raw talents that he has. I've got no issues if he wants to be a squad player. On a rotational basis, you'll get minutes. Look, he's a big talent for me. He's a big talent. And if we're looking to sell someone like Romelu Lukaku and Timo Werner as well, why not have someone like Armando Broja in the bench? Do you know what I mean? I still don't think Kai Havertz is a striker for us. I've always said he's a second striker. I don't think he's someone who's going to bag you 20, 25, 30 goals. He ain't a ruthless striker. Like, you know, when you see a ruthless striker, we've seen Diego Costa, ruthless striker, Didier Drogba, ruthless striker, Jimmy Ford Hasselback, ruthless striker. Like, he ain't that, but he's a solid second striker for me. I think someone who can bag 15 goals, maybe 10 assists, something like that. You know, someone like Armando Broja can come in.
The reason why I wouldn't put Kai as, I don't know, with Kai, he's such a weird player. I don't want him any deeper than he is because he doesn't actually have the eye for a pass either. Do you see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like he's a
really, a lot of key passes.
He's not Thomas Müller. Do you know what I mean? Like if he was like Thomas Müller, it'd be different. But he's not. So
could he be though, Matisse? Could he?
I think it's easier for him to become a striker than it is for him to become a playmaker.
Do you think so?
I think he could. Yeah, I think he could. I think if he just, because I've seen him finish. So I think if he just keeps working on his finishing, he can definitely head the ball. We've seen that before. Scored a great goal at Anfield from a corner, etc. If he keeps working on his finishing, he likes to make runs in behind. He's got good movement as well. I think he just has to work on all of that. Because
that Man United game disappointed me, bro. That 2 chances that he had against Man United, you got to nail one of them, man. As a striker, I feel like that's your bread and butter. Do you know what I mean?
This is
I don't know.
What's a bit of a concern is when we discuss of players like this, and we actually don't know what their actual role is, like 100%.
Hybrid.
What are you? And
you got to put goal scoring. You got to put goal scoring wingers around him. 100%.
It's weird. It's weird. I'd love to be able to go. No, he plays here. That's his role. Done. We can't do that.
Yeah, I think you just got to surround him with goals. You got to surround him with goals out wide. Gallagher in midfield can get goals as well, and you just got to do that. And then he doesn't have to get goals so much. He can maybe be like a Firmino as he develops. That's how I see him. Maybe as someone like that who he doesn't actually have to get the goals because we get the goals elsewhere, but he just knits everything together. But he's got to keep developing. He's got to keep developing. I think he's had good spurts this season, good moments of form. But then he's also now going for a really poor run of form. And yeah, I think Broja would be someone that at least can keep him on his toes. He's got a lot to work on himself as well. So I think in the striker position department, I don't think we're going to be particularly strong, but I hope for a lot of development and improvements. I think but the striker market's not great anyway. I don't really feel like there's a lot of players out there that I'm really clamoring towards, especially with our history with strikers. I mean, I'm looking on the free transfer market now, but I mean, Younes, what's your take on Broja right now? There's a lot of people saying that he's not even ready. He should go back out on loan as well.
No, you see, look, a couple of months ago, the hottest thing since sliced bread, bring him in. He's going to smash it next season. All right, has a few games where he's turned off. Nah. Send him back on loan. No, look, you got to be realistic. He should never have been hyped to the point where he was in the first place. But he's shown enough. I feel like he's shown enough. Give him the chance. We have a scenario now at Chelsea where whoever we splash money on, it just doesn't work. This striker situation is cursed. Has been since Costa. I don't know why, but with Broja, we have someone that we have control of because he's come from our club. He's on loan. He's done well. Bring him in and let's see what he can do. He's young. Allow him to develop in the same way we were talking about the centre-backs and how they should be given that moment of time to really, find their feet and show what they can do and try and convince the manager. And from there, we can move. Broja's the same. I wouldn't bring him in and go, you're the number one striker. That would be ridiculous. But he needs an environment where he should be given an opportunity. Let's see what you can do at Chelsea. Okay, you've done it at Southampton to a good extent. Cool, fantastic. But environments change players. And that's why you've seen players elsewhere thrive, come to Chelsea, flop. Or the other way around. Been at Chelsea, flop, gone elsewhere, KDB, Salah. Environments, not just in terms of where you are, but the people you're around, the way of life, it all contributes as a big psychological factor in terms of how someone succeeds at a football club and doesn't somewhere else. It's not black and white. And I feel like with Broja, we need to give that chance. Bring him to the bridge. Let's see how he does. Let's see how he finds his feet. Let's see if he's going to play even better or if he's going to succeed or if we believe he has the ability to do so. I'd give him the opportunity. I still feel like we need to sort out this striker situation and maybe bring in someone or We'll see
Belotti's available
what
on a
options
free.
are. Who?
Belotti, Torino is available on a free. That's the only person I can find on a free.
Is Lewandowski on a free as well?
No, he's still got
No,
1
he's
year.
not. No.
So he's going to be valued, I think, at about 50 because it's Lewandowski. But yeah, I feel like Broza 1 year within the squad, and then we'll go from there. But does he have attributes? Absolutely. And I feel like we'd be stupid to throw that away. Give him the chance.
Yeah. All right. Obviously, I mean, Dybala, it sounds like someone you guys might be keen on, though, because it was kind of surprised. You were surprised to hear that from me. What would you do with Dybala, maybe potentially as an option? I just don't know.
I would
actually one of them. He's weird. Yeah, he's a weird one for me.
From what I've seen, of Juventus, you can use him. Yes, definitely can use him from someone on the right who can cut in, but that's, Hakim Ziyech does that. But you can use him as a cam. If we were to play a 4-2-3-1, you can use him just behind a striker. You could use him as a 4-3-3, as a false nine, someone who can come in and do the Firmino role, but who's technically very well equipped with his passing range, can score goals, can pop off a shot as well. We need to surround our football club with a lot more technical, gifted players. Yeah, someone who's comfortable with the ball, someone who's able to manipulate with the ball as well. I think Dybala can do that. Is there a question mark on Dybala? Could he have the same sort of scenario as a Saul? I don't know. Maybe. But if we're going to have that attitude, then we might as well not worry about going into the transfer market ever, like thinking that every player is going to be a Saul. And if I'm being actually honest, I feel like recently we should have used Saul a lot more because he overcame that situation earlier on, and he was actually looking better whenever in the middle portion of the season when Thomas Tuchel was using. So look, I can picture, as you said, Matisse, if you think someone like Kai Havertz can be the front guy, you can probably use Dybala as the guy next to him in tandem. So that's why I think it's a cheeky purchase. Someone like Dybala, I wouldn't necessarily use him on the wings. I would actually try and utilize him on the middle of the park. Season's long, man. We've played 60 plus games this season, and this is the issue. I still remember so well, so clear. At the start of this season, everyone was like, "Oh, Miz, what do you want this player? How many? How's he going to start for us?" You saw what this season, what a grueling season it can be. You need players. You need players to come off the bench and maintain the same quality. As soon as we got decimated with injuries this season, whether it be in wing-back position, or in the middle of the field or up front, we couldn't handle it anymore. We simply couldn't handle it. So I'm not going to be one of those guys, how are you going to fit in Dybala? Now, you find a way to fit in Dybala. Do you know what I mean? Like, find it. Like, that's what Thomas Tuchel needs to do. So, yeah.
My preference for this position would be to purchase someone like Nkunku or someone like that. I just think physically he would be able to handle it more. I remember when Kai and Werner came to the Premier League, they were talking about physically the centre backs, and I just think Dybala is another one where he might be good enough on the ball, but I just think phically in that false nine role, he'd get eaten alive by some of these defenses. I really do. He's never played anything like it before. So I think from what I've seen in Cuckoo, he just seems a little bit more versatile and he can do a lot more in terms of his physicality. I know people will be
Are you worried about the German Bundesliga?
Yeah, I mean, I was about to say it. RB Leipzig tax, do you know what I'm saying? But listen, not everybody that comes from there is a bust. Do you know what I'm saying? You just have to take each player in isolation. From what I see from Nkunku, way more well-rounded footballer than Timo Werner. It's not even close. And the same applies for Tchouameni and Bakayoko. Maybe we should just sign just all French, Kamara, Tchouameni, Dembele, Nkunku, Koundé, all of the French. Bro, we will have Julian Laurens on this show if that is the case. And that would be just an incredible show. So, yeah.
We'll just change the blue lion on the badge to a blue baguette.
Well, why not have the kit to represent some parts of France as well? Obviously, we've got the blue already. They're throwing some red, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
White.
Before we wrap up, some quick players that we didn't mention that I'm just going to gloss over because I know nobody don't rate them, but just stop me if you wish. Emerson, Bakayoko, Batshuayi, Matt Miazga, Baba Rahman, Clark Salter, and Danny Drinkwater was running out of contract. So is Clark Salter and so is Baba Rahman. Well, no, they're loans and Danny Drinkwater definitely runs out of contract. The rest of them are just the loans. Anybody take a fancy? No? Okay.
don't bother us like this, bro. Don't bother us like this.
All right. Well, listen, it's been a great show. It's been a nice change to the pace of complaining about, situations that at this point I'm just tired of hearing about. Maybe they'll give you that content on their own channels. Younes, let them know where to find you. Maybe you can have a big bitch fest over there. Go for it.
Yeah, I'll be giving you an update later.
By the way, Younes, top video, man, about the Roman situation yesterday. Really good video, man.
No problem, thank you. Same with you. I saw yours when you put it out as well. So fair play. Yeah, because it's day by day, it's changing. So I mean, I've already seen news today, so yeah, we'll see what happens, but I'll give my view on it all each and every day, and obviously I'll see what else is popping elsewhere. I mean, we've had the Champions League semi-final yesterday with Liverpool. Tonight it's going to be City Madrid. So yeah, we'll see what happens there. There's things popping off other parts of the football world too, so I'll keep up to date with all of that up until Friday, and then match preview for the Wolves game on Friday. Yes, because we are playing Premier League football again, which is painful. Yes, I'll do that. So yeah, Younes Talks Football.
By the way, Wolves 3 losses in a row. So
yes. Yeah. I'm enjoying the Champions League. I'm going to enjoy West Ham, Frankfurt, and then Chelsea are going to come bore me to death on the weekend.
Yeah.
Miz, let them know where to find you, bro. It's been a pleasure.
Well, you won't be able to find me for the next couple of hours because I want to sleep. Get some rest.
This was meant to be a short episode. Sorry.
It ended up becoming the longest. It's an hour 45.
So I'm going to sleep for a little bit, but after that, yes, much like Younes, we'll check out some of the news, keep you guys updated as to what's going on, because I think it's turning out to, and I said it when the saga started, because yeah, when you're dealing with 1.6 billion, it's not a joke that Mr. Roman Abramovich wants his money back. I was always saying, I find this a bit strange that he's saying wipe the debt off. Like, so we'll talk about that
after the sanction, though, isn't it? It came after the sanction, which is why.
Exactly. So it's an interesting saga that's brewing over there. We'll keep in touch with that. Obviously, Champions League. I'm not really sure if I'm going to do a watch along. Just enjoy time off, and then. Yeah, Chelsea. God damn it. Yeah, next. Let's move on.
Okay. Guys, I hope you've enjoyed the episode. Hope it's given you some, conversation and thoughts in the comments about who we should use. List out who you would use in the comments down below. Obviously, don't list everyone because that's unrealistic, but then definitely go pick and choose. I think, between one of the fullbacks, between one of the potential midfielders in Gilmore and Ampadu, you got probably one of each is probably more realistic. And yeah, smash up the icons. Let me know in the comments. And until next time, big up your damn selves in a bit, people. Peace.